2026-2027 season, and we're kicking it off right because when it comes to football, our guys over at Gridiron Apex are the specialists. Dante and Sora, they're pulling up tonight. This is the third year in a row to them helping us open the season the right way. And look, normally when you see a specialist, that's a copay, right? Not tonight. No copay required. Chasers Nation, just put it in the comments like how we always say. We're drafting predictions, defending our picks, and locking in calls for the entire 2026 NFL and collegiate football season. 2 crews, 2 leagues, 1 night. This is episode 543. Let's chase it. Let's go. You know how we do. Let's get it on.
This is Sports Chasers, where real fans get real sports talk. No hot takes, no narratives, just objective perspective, honest debate, and everything happening across the sports landscape. Now, let's join the chase.
Hey, good evening, everybody. What's happening, everybody? It's another edition of the Sports Chasers coming to you live and direct here. Here tonight, man. Hey, we're talking football. This is the first night of the Monday Night Football Blitz, man. We're happy that football is back. Football's in the air, man. And tonight, man, we have special guests. Well, you know what? Let me cut it out. They're special. They're our guests, man, but they're family too, man. They've been on the show numerous times, man. And I called upon them, as I said in my opening, man. Hey, man, they're the specialists when it comes to this football thing. You want to see people break down film and see how guys run routes. These are the guys I call upon, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know, we talk football here in the Sports Chasers, man. But when I need a specialist, like how if you need to go to the doctor, you need a specialist. As, you know, I had my rotator cuff worked on. My primary guy didn't do it. Call upon the specialist, man. But we got the specialist here tonight. Before we meet the specialist in Gridiron Apex, man, hey, let's meet the crew. DA, what's up, sir? How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good, man. Excited to be here, man. You know, get an education. It's always good when you get education. Education
is for real, man. So we appreciate that, man. Thanks to all those that are locking in and watching us tonight, whether you're with the Chasers Nation or with Gridiron Apex. We appreciate you tonight, man. And hey, man, we're not gonna belabor the point, man. Let's meet our guests here tonight, man. Y'all know what it is when it comes to football, man. Let me get them guys right in here, man. Gridiron Apex, what's up, fellas? What's going on? How are y'all tonight? What's going on?
Hey, man. Can't complain. Anytime we get to talk about some football, you know I'm here, man.
Man, it's very special, man. Like I said, I always reach out to these guys, man. It's usually during the beginning of the season, and I think we did something at the end of the season, man. So it was pretty cool that we talked some football, man. And hey, make sure all those that haven't heard of these guys, well, you should have heard of them. I'm going to tell you right now, you need to go over to their channel, to the Gridiron Apex, man. They actually got 2 channels, I believe. Am I correct, gentlemen? One for football, one for college football. Check them out, man. Writing articles and stuff, real stuff, no AI nonsense. It was almost 30 seconds. I was not supposed to cuss in 30 minutes. But make sure you check them out, man. They have some really good content, man. And for those that want to, I saw this yesterday, I think today or yesterday, on your Twitter feed, on your X feed, about how, hey, they even trying to put people on game and teach them how to write film. And not look at film and dissect film and stuff like that, man. So shout out to you guys again, man. I'm glad that you guys are here tonight in the building. I'll give it to Dante. Dante, what's up, sir? How are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic, man. As you know, in the last couple of months, I got sick, came back. The whole YouTube debacle happened. That's why we started 2 channels, and it kind of just feels like a fresh start for us. But well, most people get discouraged and just throw this thing away, man. and they never come back. But yeah, I know the job is never done, man. I will be right back at that. I think we're like at 6.5K on that old channel. We'll get back there. You know, they ain't no problem. We got a pretty strong following. The people that are, you know, closest to the channel always follow, so we appreciate them. We should see them here pop in the chat if they haven't already. But yeah, I already see Edwin and Brandon already in here showing support, but I should see the usual folks in here. But definitely appreciate you guys always, you know, retweeting, liking our stuff, always bringing us up on the show as well. So, you know, I'll be returning the favor here pretty soon as I get into I like to get into what's it called? Sorry, the handoff, my handoff series. So
Oh yeah. The handoff.
where I bring people on and talk through this. But yeah, definitely appreciate the invite again, Kevin, and DA. It's good to see you, and Sora, I hate your guts. So
understandable.
Sora, what's up, brother? How are you tonight, bro?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. I'd like to think of us starting the 2 new channels as like in Call of Duty. We're rebirthing. We're remastering.
that's a good way to look at it.
It's not starting over. We're just we're doing it better this time.
Nah, that's good, man. I saw the circumstances why you had to start the 2 new channels, man. And but hey, man, that's what resilience is about, man. The ability just to bounce back when stuff happens in life, man. So shout out to you guys, man. Go ahead, Dia. You was gonna say something?
So yeah, it's a conspiracy, man. So all these channels, man, they do that. YouTube does that just to break people back down.
Well, it's crazy too. Like the second that it happened to our channel, there's multiple other bigger channels, stuff that's not even like sports related, just in general, to also talking about this, and then YouTube's doing a bunch of different changes, and it's just everybody's always got to follow the YouTube guidelines, even though they change it like every other week. So it's just keep on your toes and all that.
It's
indeed.
It's almost like you need a YouTube symposium every week.
Yeah.
Of what's the new laws and regulations and stuff like that. So,
dude, with all the, my job is very AI centric. The new job I just started, which is kind of surprising. And we use Claude for all kinds of different things. So that Sora knows, like right before I got sick, we were trying to re-strategize a couple things to see just how the algorithm was. And I came up with all these different posting schedules and the best time to post and the things to talk about and when we should post shorts and videos and go live. And it was just like, you know what I learned throughout this whole process is AI is, you can plug the same thing in AI and each AI system will tell you something different based off of what it thinks it knows. And at that point in time, when I realized that, I was like, you know what? It doesn't really matter when we post and when we upload something because AI doesn't even know. It doesn't even know the algorithm. So just put out content, man. The best medicine for exposure is constantly being consistent. That's what I learned, and I should have never strayed away from that. So when Sora said this is like the remastered version of us, I think that hits this perfectly.
We learning.
Yeah.
Nah, listen, we've been learning too, and you're absolutely right. If you have 3 or 4 AI centric platforms that you use to do whatever you do, everybody's gonna know their own thing, man. And me and DA were just talking on the phone the other day about the YouTube algorithm, how it rewards nonsense sometimes, and like you said, Dante, just put out good content, man. If you put out good content, people will absolutely gravitate to it and they will find you and they will discover you. And that's why, hey, make sure you see something good, make sure you like it and share it, man. So
that's the best thing to do for creators is and I put out a tweet not that long ago that said, don't just retweet and like my stuff. If you really want to support, your view and actually consuming the content is better than any retweet or like that you could do, in my opinion. And so there are guys like you and my man Omari, man. If you guys are
I'm going to get him on. Yes,
New York Jets fans, man. He's such a smart dude, and like throughout the draft process, he just like randomly hit me up and he was like, dude, you're thinking about this way different than everybody else. Can you just tell me like what the process is? And he did a lot of research on our channel. He's like, man, you guys have hit on a lot of things. And so guys like that, I really admire. And he's been a big supporter of us too. So, and he's now just growing his stuff. So yeah, if you guys like Jets content or just football in general, make sure he's a great follow for sure.
Nah, I definitely retweeted some of this stuff, and I said I'm going to reach out to him and talk about the Jets.
He would be a great one for you guys because he grew up in that area just like you guys did. So, you guys, I think that would be a fantastic show for sure. So, yeah.
I appreciate that. One more thing before we get into the football stuff. Can you explain your tweet because I want to plug this for you. Yeah. You trying to help create, I don't know if it's creators or those trying to watch film or watch, how they dissect football.
Yeah, I just think that, first of all, there's a lot of takes out there without substance. I think people are just so quick to be the ones to want to jump the line and be the one to say, "Hey, I got this right." I mean, everybody does. I mean, I do it too.
Right.
But it's not with like the JJ McCarthy debacle right now. We've seen how that has just turned the ugliest of heads, and now Vikings fans are even like, "Yeah, get this dude off my team." Like,
yeah, they're running out of patience already.
But they were the strongest ones to tell me, "No, you don't know what you're talking about," right? And so, but I was the one that gave him the most due diligence in the draft process out of any player. I don't know how much I could have done, and I just couldn't find anything I liked. So, with all that being said, just to give a little basis, I came to the conclusion of like Omari is a huge one. Like he wasn't a coach, and things like that. So from my perspective, why gatekeep the information that I know? And so the best way to build the best audiences out there are to build it with people that respect your opinion and also get to build their content, and then they circumvent and come back and say, "Hey, I learned this from him," or the information that I got a little bit deeper into the draft process was because of this person, right? And so, I'm not using it as a marketing tool. I generally just want to help, because there are a lot of terrible takes out there, just like people that don't understand. I even try to like when I talk about breaking down plays, I try not to get like too X's and O's when I talk to, but I think it's important for you to at least know, like when JJ McCarthy threw that 45-yard, ball to Ty Felton, he had to turn around and jump up and get it. Yeah, it was a great play, but it was mostly done by Ty Felton, and he could have made another throw that would have been even more impressive that was out there. And like explaining the differences between a big splash play and the correct throw are what people just don't really understand. Like I was taught as just a young quarterback, you'll never go broke taking a profit and getting your team a first down and getting you down the field, right? And so you got to protect your guys because, you throw hospital balls too, and if that guy's not available, then that hurts your team as well. So quarterback everybody knows quarterback is probably the most important position outside of a closing pitcher in baseball, right? Like it's super important. But helping people see through the lens of just that will make them better evaluators when they get down to the draft season too. But go ahead.
And if I may, by you doing that, maybe we can stop those idiots that are on the news in the morning with splash plays rather than good plays, right? So they're gonna. That's their job, and that's the thing I'm gonna get into is even more is why they're doing that, right? Because there's a reason why things happen. There's things happen for a reason. So why are you showing these plays? Why is this the story that we're leading with? Why are we talking about this? What do they want out of this, right? And most times they don't want folks to know much more about football. They just want the controversy. So they want to make the Kyler McCarthy thing bigger than what it actually is on the team, or to make the Deshaun Shador thing bigger than what it actually is, right? Locker room is like, yeah, we just want the guy that's the best for us.
But what's so funny about just that whole thing, just to go back to the JJ McCarthy drive with that big splash play, right? This is why me doing a seminar, or at least giving back the knowledge, like like I said, like making the correct throw versus the splash throw is important. Ty Felton did catch that pass and they got him inside the red zone. But JJ McCarthy missed 2 throws that could have been both touchdowns because he just overcalculated, threw it with all the strength in the world, and missed 2 easy throws. So that play at the end of the day didn't mean anything because you turned the ball over on 4th down when you should have just made an easy touchdown throw. Mind you, a very easy play that Ty Felton took 2 DBs out on a chip. So it was like, yeah, that splash play didn't really matter. But what if he was methodical and took it down the field and took his time and was cerebral like a Matt Stafford? You're not going to throw and put all the mustard on the pass like he did. you're going to float that thing in there and get it to the right guy every single time. And that's why you have great players like Matthew Stafford time and time again tearing his shoulder up and still winning the game for the Lions, his rookie year. And you have JJ McCarthy, who's people just keep saying he just needs development. No, you should have got developed in college.
I was going to go there, but I know who his coach was in college, and I know what the cheater cared about in college, and it wasn't that. So it wasn't that. Just for sure. He had so much dirty laundry with that team that, you could look at the roster and see where that yeah. He wasn't going to make the kid good. He wasn't trying to make the kid good. But until he got a job in the pros and he started lobbying for the kid to get a job, which was the year after he went to the pros. So, we're going to talk about that because college football quarterbacks get a very raw deal.
For sure.
They get a very raw deal. And Ohio State, they give quarterbacks a really raw deal. Even before these times now, you only had 1 year to burn there before they was bringing somebody else in. So, and that's with it being wide receiver you. So, it's a lot. We'll get to it though. We will get to it.
Gotcha. Thank you, DA, man. So, like you said, hey, those that want to really, really dive into football and how things are played out and how to really call out stuff, hey, man, the Dante and Gridiron Apex, their links will be in our description at this show, man. Will be in the description, man. So, hey, let's start off with college football. College football is upon us this weekend. We got week 0 that's going down this week, man. So, I'll just start off, put it off to the panel real quick. I'll start with Dante. Hey, surprise teams for college football this year.
I would make a joke and say Florida State would be a surprise team that we will lose against New Mexico State week 1, and everybody will be clamoring at the bits to fire Mike Norvell yet again.
We ain't got the funds for that one, big man.
I cannot stand the state of Florida State as a Florida State fan, but that's neither here nor there. Surprise team in a good way. I've been saying this, and when they named their starting quarterback the other day, Anthony Calandria is going to be the starting quarterback for Nebraska. I think Nebraska just has the team to just come out in the Big Ten with the schedule that they have and just surprise people this year. Anthony Calandria is interesting because he got it out the mud, man. He was kind of like one of the catalysts to see where Virginia is today, right? Like, they were in the ACC championship last year, of course, with another quarterback, but and Chandler Morris coming over from North Texas. Shout out to him. But he had transferred out and went to UNLV, dealt with that process. Him and Alex Orji had that quarterback battle. And I believe that was what's his name? That's the coach out there. That was Florida's coach. Is it Dan Mullen?
Yeah, Dan Mullen at UNLV.
Yeah. So Dan Mullen's their coach. And then he took so he went backwards and then took another step up, going back to, a Power 4 school in Nebraska. And I think one of the things that is interesting is with the whole, Dylan Raiola situation too, being able to just let that situation go, right? Like not fight it. I think that showed a little bit of growth from Matt Rule coming back to college as well. Like, you're not going to be able to keep these superstars around. Just move on. Your team needs you to move on. They're paying you a lot of money. Everybody knows Nebraska is kind of a gold mine that just didn't have success, right? I mean, they sell out every home game. They sold out a volleyball game in their stadium and their outdoor stadium. Like, Nebraska is a freaking gold mine, and I still want to go to a game at Memorial Stadium, but just with what they have on their roster, like Isaiah Hunter came over from Cal a couple years ago, who was part of the helping Fernando Mendoza get to where he was, by the way. Of course, Anthony Calandria and Luke Lindenmeyer at tight end. Look, I think he's going to have a rise at tight end where we're going to be looking at him as kind of like a sneaky, like do it all tight end, like Brock Bowers. I'm not saying he's going to be Brock Bowers. I don't think that's his ceiling, but I think people are going to start respecting the type of player that he is. And it's kind of funny. I tweeted that out and, a couple months ago, and his family was like tweeting it, retweeting me like crazy. But I was like, I seen Luke on film, man. I see a lot of good stuff. And I think their defense is going to be, pretty solid under, everybody knows the kind of caliber coach Matt Rule is when it comes to defense. But I think this is the year that they finally put it together. Anthony Calandria, to me, and this is funny. TJ Lateef was not a bad quarterback when he had to come in for Dylan Raiola. So this is kind of surprising that they went after Anthony Calandria. So if you have him as your starter, you must feel really good about where he is right now, because TJ Lateef is not a pushover quarterback whatsoever. And I thought he was kind of the future for that team. But one thing I will say is I think Anthony Calandria is really a dark horse quarterback for the Heisman as well. I think he's going to put up a lot of points. I think he's going to put up a lot of yardage as well, because he's one of those traditional dual threat guys that can do it all. But didn't really hit the portal like I thought they would, but they got a lot of key players to fill in where they lost. Quasi Gilmore is awesome too at wide receiver. Had a quasi 500-yard season with UCLA last year, so you kind of get some depth with him. I just like where they're at right now. I mean, I was kind of high on them last year too, and then Dylan Raiola got hurt, and then we kind of see him be up and down. But I think Matt Rule is really going to get those guys dialed in, and this is the year that usually Matt Rule does turn the team around. We've seen it with Baylor, we've seen it with Temple. If anything, you kind of trust Matt Rule in year 3 with the team. So we'll see where he's at.
I will say this about Matt Rule, because I got my ears to the ground in the city of Charlotte when he had his time there. And I was like, hey, man, that guy's probably a better off college football coach than, pros. We see it work. We see it with, what's his name, St. Nick. He went to a little bit. And there's some others, man. Sometimes it just doesn't work out in the pros, man. It doesn't work out in the pros.
Yeah, I mean, he tried it.
Yeah.
Didn't work, but I think he learned a lot by the and if you listen to any of the former Panthers players and how they talk about Matt, they love Matt.
Yeah, he was a good coach. They dug him. It just ain't work out.
Yeah, and part of being a good head coach in the NFL, you can get away with it sometimes in college because head coaches can come in and just rule everything. But in the NFL, you got guys that are getting paid huge salaries to be offensive and defensive coordinators, right? And even though the rules have changed in college football, where even not assistants, but like those analysts can now coach players as well. So it's kind of easier in college at this point in time. But in the NFL, you kind of have to let the coordinators be the head coach of the offense, defense coordinator be the head coach of the defense. And part of being in the NFL is getting that roster complete. And this is why I'll never hate on Nick Sirianni. Is people hate the Eagles, but Nick Sirianni constantly turns out guys that are going to go find other jobs. So, hey, Nick Sirianni's a good ass coach, man.
He's a good CEO, head coach.
Exactly, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Gotcha, Sora. Your thoughts? Who's your surprise?
I mean, on our channel, I've talked about a lot of Oklahoma State. I really like the hire of Eric Morris. Everything that's gone through here. So I've ended up talking about them, but surprise, and we've even talked about this a little bit, but they finally announced their starting quarterback. But I'm going to go with my alma mater of Florida, and it's just kind of because I'm not expecting them to make the playoffs or anything like that. But I'm with the way that John Summerall and everything that he's kind of shown, and with how he's run the ship so far, it gives actual promise that things are going to eventually be turned around. Because you're looking at this 4-8. Billy Napier had the 1-8-4 season where just beating Ole Miss and LSU at home, and that saves his job for another year. And then he goes right back to the normal, Billy Napier that Florida fans were used to. Never started off at above 500 week 2. Every single year, it was always below 500 or just at 500 on the week 2. That's not something you're expecting from an SEC team. And I have hope with them because of bringing back certain players that everybody expected us to lose because of Billy Napier leaving. Players like 1,000-yard rusher Jaden Baugh, a top running back in the SEC, Dallas Wilson, Vernell Brown III, top freshman wide receivers that are coming back, Cormani McClain. Like, even with Billy Napier, the defense themselves was still very good. They would hold Georgia until the very end when they got tired because the offense couldn't do anything. Miami, it was what, like 13-10, something along the lines, and then like maybe a last-minute touchdown. I don't remember entirely the score for Miami, but it was almost through all 4 quarters until, again, eventually just the offense or the defense got gassed out because of a lack of offense. The defense was able to keep us into games, and now you're getting offensive coordinator of the year from last year of Buster Faulkner coming over from Georgia Tech to Florida, and he's bringing over Aaron Philo, who, yes, was backup for Haynes King, but he has, familiarity with this system. And also, one thing that I appreciate as well, which even something that we didn't get when Dan Mullen was our coach, was very much so the fact that he could lose his job week 1 if he doesn't perform well. Tramel Jones, or if Aaron Philo doesn't perform well, Summerall's not afraid to put in Tramel Jones. Like, seniority to him does not matter. It's all about results. And, that's something that we haven't seen in a while.
I would say, sir, you better hope. You better hope he doesn't have a problem putting in Tremaine Jones, because he has not. I mean, nothing's been proven yet. But he talks a big talk, but
that's the thing. Obviously, results still need to be played. That's why I'm not sitting here being like, they're going to win the SEC. They're going to go to the playoffs. Maybe like as a late seed, like 12th, if all things go right, sure, maybe. But I think there's a lot of hope that 8-4 would be nice, and I think that is for a first year is a potential. I think that's a realistic expectation if everything goes right, if everything has gone the way that we have been bought into. Because every time Billy Napier would speak in SEC media days, everybody was checked out. The players are checked in, the fans are checked in, all on John Summerall. And again, yes, I know, talk is talk. You have to produce the results. But with what he did with Tulane and what he's done in the past with Troy, I don't think it's that big of a, I don't think it's that big of a lack of expectations to, believe that 8-4 could be a possibility and surprise a lot of teams.
Yeah. I just think they were inconsistent last year. They had talent last year.
Yeah, we had talent. We just couldn't have anybody coaching. And again, I think another telltale sign is going to be how DJ Lagway looks, because from what I've heard, even scouts at Baylor are like, this is the best version of him we've seen.
I don't doubt it. I don't think his shoulder was all correct.
No. Yeah,
I think with Billy Napier, he was listening to what DJ was saying. Oh, I'm good to go. Any competitor is going to say that, but great coaches really look into their player's soul and tell them, you ain't ready yet.
Yeah,
they save them from themselves. Billy was too focused on not losing his job, and that's why he threw DJ in there, and that's why they lost games. I'm not surprised that DJ's doing well for Baylor.
No, I was about to say the footwork has looked like night and day from Baylor under his time with Napier at Florida. And it's just because he couldn't, develop the talent on the roster.
And I think he was kind of out of shape too, because remember when we saw him at the airport when we went to the combine, he looked slender, like he was ready to go.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big thing too. I think he was a little chunky going into his last year there too, and he was kind of out of shape.
Wow.
That happens with that bread. So
it's all them gator bites. I don't know what else to tell you. all the pub subs lying around. There's Publix every corner you go to.
Dia, you had something before we move on?
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, did you have any surprise this week? That's what I was
golly gee, I don't really have a surprise team, man, because I am, without a doubt, straight lining dollar amounts for the NIL and the consortiums to winning. So, the teams that are spending the most will probably do the best. That's just what it is. And the guys are the best in the portal. So I think LSU is going to do okay because Laney is good in the portal. They spend money and they're good in the portal. I think they'll be better than where they're slated at right now.
And they just signed NFL player Xavier Harris to their roster, and are going to get Daquan Wright once he,
so
clears waivers. So
there you go. So and we can talk about that, but
we can park it there for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I mean, I'll start off and say, hey man, the kids, or whatever you want to say about it, they're doing what the rules allowed it. This should have been fixed from the beginning, and you can't. I know DA. I come a long ways, right?
Yeah.
Hey, whoever the NCAA, they are the ones that make up the rules and the bylaws and stuff like that, and it's allowed to be circumvented or whatever. Well, not even circumvented because he's allowed to go back, right? So, Dante.
No, I mean we're gonna get into that on our show tomorrow for sure. But I mean, I understand the circumstances behind that, but to me, I mean, Lane did come out today and say, well, if we don't get him, then somebody else's team is going to get him.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's a fantastic reason to go in there and think that. But then you have Dan Lannon that says, I would never do that because of the integrity of the sport. So I'm on both sides. I'm just kind of like in the middle. And I agree with you, DA. Like, if I'm a kid and I know that, like, I had a tough time on the NFL roster right now, I'm betting on myself. I'm going to go get developed a little bit more in college, get a shot, shoot myself back into the draft, and see if it's a good measuring stick for them to see if they did it better than they did last time.
And let me tell you, this is the thing, and I'm glad you brought that point up, is that if the NFL is really mad about guys doing it, when those guys recycle themselves to come back, nobody will draft them. They'll take a free agent contract. You know what I mean? No matter how good you are, right? They'll because do not believe that the NFL is not above guys conspiring together, as John Gruden, to get something that they want. So the point I make is it's going to the thing that'll happen will be that they'll say, hey, well, we just won't let this guy come back up. But the reality is it's up to the NCAA to see coming and put something out there to stop it, right? Because they did it in basketball. You saw it coming. So you should have stopped it at that point. You should have put something out there, But, when you were going to the U.S. government to have them solve their problems for you, you should have asked them to solve that,
Well,
yeah, you should ask them to solve that.
I mean, I don't think this is going to happen in the future. There's a lot of court hearings that are happening right now to prevent this from the future. And the NCAA seems like, and the court system is going to give them more leverage moving into the next year and the next year after that. Like the power is going to be put more back in their hands. But I will say, I was thinking about this a lot today after Lane's comments. And the one thing that I can say, if I was a player and I struggled, would I rather struggle getting developed on an NFL team? Because I always say all the time, NFL is not a developmental league. You either got it or you don't. Like,
facts.
So if you're in a practice squad, how much are you getting developed versus if I go back to college, let's say in Xavier Harris, he was a great defensive tackle. But what if he goes back and becomes the best defensive tackle this year? And he's taking live bullets against teams 12, 13, maybe 14 weeks, depending on how far, LSU goes. But he's getting live reps to get better and more development. So I'm kind of conflicted from that standpoint too, because I'm like, well, NFL team said that I'm not ready to be a starter or even a second stringer, but I went back to college and got developed.
Makes sense.
And came back even better.
Well, I
don't know. I'm conflicted,
I think it's along the lines of, you get drafted, obviously you're going to get drafted. You go through the rookie camp. You've gone through a few preseason camps, 7-on-7s, 11s-on-11s, joint practices. And, in the case of these guys going back to, because, like we have stated multiple times, NFL not being a developmental league, of realizing that, yes, I still need to be developed, but I've also learned, a few skills from my time in the NFL. And as for, don't, when they come back up, don't draft them. I could see it's where it's kind of like in MLB, where it's the, drafting a player out of high school. We have the rights to you. It's just more so the, I don't want to say college is becoming, like the minor leagues or anything like that.
Well,
but I can see both sides of it. It's great for these players to be developed, and with common day NIL, you're probably making just as much, if not more, than what these guys on the practice squad make.
Oh, you're definitely making more than more.
Yeah, well, it depends on who you are, but yes. And then, so I can see it there. You're financially, you're still good. You're getting development, but I can also see the argument of where the integrity of the game kind of comes in, especially with all of these rules that have been made in the past, where everybody kind of gets your head scratch. You have a bit of a head scratcher. And it's also the same year, not even a couple of months, of the whole Sorsby drama, where they had to get the justice system involved in that. So I think it's just a lot of people are just kind of tired of that as well. And I think that's where some of the emotion kind of comes in, of people reacting a bit, overreacting a bit to this.
You're just layering on the cake, right?
Yeah.
Like,
we've added another layer now.
Yeah, but to me, I'm still more pissed off about the Brendan Sorsby thing than I am about this court ruling to let the guys come back. In complete honesty, right? I think with Brendan Sorsby, the NCAA having as like their gold standard, you can't do this because of the integrity of the sport. Yeah, I just don't understand that.
And not when you're going to have, right after they say that, the commercial for DraftKings. Yeah.
Don't get Dante started about that.
That's also fair. Yeah,
look, dog, listen, man. If you give a crackhead crack and he smokes it, are you part of the problem, homie?
That's a hell of an analogy, bro.
That's what it is, though.
He ain't lying, though.
Yes, absolutely. He's right.
Listen, man, when you're a competitor in most things, man. And competitors bet on themselves. Every day we use these terms. But they also bet on other things because they're competitors. It's them against the line. It's them against the other team. It's them against this. Dude, this is just, personality tracking. You know what I mean? Like, they know these types of guys are going to try to be Navy SEALs. They can tell you, ask 10 guys, let them talk, which ones are going to try to, right? They do these things, man. And all players are, most players have a betting problem. Some of them are just not big, and this is just, shoot. They got high school issues now, rings where high school kids spend their money playing, because, they'll take a line on every sport. Yeah. Calcium will bet on, sperm cell counts. So listen, they'll do anything, dog. They will do anything.
Yeah.
Dang, bro.
Is why I'll never work with those companies. I don't.
Dante, you're muted, by the way.
Huh?
You're muted.
Yeah, give us a little bit more value. Yeah, you just need a little bit more value.
I'll also say, I think this is
that better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dante said he's not taking no money from none of those betting places, so don't call him.
Well, that for sure, I know. But yeah, I think also part of it as well is people have been unhappy with college ever since NIL first was introduced. And these are also, granted, these are people that only watch NFL and read this and go, well, I want to be unhappy about this too. But, there's also a good chunk to where it's, like Dante, myself, you guys as well, that we will watch college football. We're sickos. It's noon, time to turn on the game. They're in Dublin. Like, we got to go.
That's right.
But the reality is that the NIL hasn't hurt play on the field. Not one bit.
No. But I'm saying it's like it's changes like that. People are still kind of stuck in the old, 2006, like BCS 14 playoffs, all that. You're fine.
That's me.
Trust me, I wish we were back in 2006. Life was good back then.
We got to have a show this, sir, because me and you will do back the good old days,
right?
When the computer told you who the heck he was good.
Yeah.
You don't know, the computer knows.
Exactly. But it's just been so many changes with college football that, again, like even back when I forget who the first one was, but it was he was an Ohio State commit, and he was foregoing his senior year in high school to go ahead and commit to Ohio State and be there. I forget who the first person was.
It was Quinn Ewers.
Was it Quinn Ewers? That's right. It was Quinn Ewers.
Wow. Who went to?
I thought it was somebody else before Quinn.
Who went to? Well, so he was. So I guess he was in the private school, Dante, and he probably was just reclassing back.
No, Quinn Ewers played at, was it Westlake? Right. I can't remember. It was a school in Texas because I'll never forget, because for whatever reason I was watching Quinn Ewers and Cade Klubnik play each other in the Texas State Championship.
Right.
He went to South Lake Carroll High School.
South Lake Carroll, that's what it is. And I think Cade Klubnik went to Westlake, and they played.
Right. So yeah, that's what it is.
I'm just figuring out how he.
They just have to get the credits.
Yeah. Okay. So okay.
You get your credits, and then you can graduate early and then reclassify.
If it's early dual enrollment or anything like that.
That's like my man down there that plays for Dallas now, and Brandon Jennings did it too. So, damn
it, kids are doing it. You would be amazed now that, like, not only how smart kids are nowadays, because like to get all your credits in your junior year is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got to be on your P's.
Definitely was not me.
That definitely wasn't me either. I had a homie that did that, and he wasn't like an athlete or anything. He just wanted to graduate early, and I'm like, bro, there's no way that I was doing that, bro. You must have been in the books. So on top of being a star athlete at your school, that's got to be crazy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of schools they will help you do it, reclass up, reclass back. Make sure you're in the right class, so you're the number one player, because you may be. What's the dude's name? He was rookie of the year this year for Dallas, the Mavericks. What's my boy's
Cooper
name?
Flagg?
Yeah, Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
He moved up because if he didn't, he would have been in the class. He was naturally in the class, this year's class.
Mm-hmm.
But if he was in this year's class, he might not have been the number one player. So that's
crazy.
Gotcha. Let me put in my little 2 cents about maybe a surprise. Not a surprise. Miami made the Natty last year. Lost to lost to Indiana. The over in 25 club, as some people are calling them. But needless to say, they won. Right. What do y'all think about the quarterback, about Mensah being their quarterback?
I've been riding the Darian Mensah train this will be year 3 for me. I got the Tulane days. Like, that kid just has it, man. And then when he transferred to Duke, I kind of scratched my head, but I was like, here was my whole thought process around this. I'm like, if he's transferring to Duke, it's either one or two things. He really likes Manny Diaz, or he is just on another level, like up here, like when it comes to being smart about school and want to graduate from an academic school. So
it's highly possible.
I think that's probably what his thought process was, but then you're not passing up the opportunity to go to Miami and win a national championship with that roster either.
Yeah, you've got the academic parts out the way. Now let's go get you're secure for after football.
Yeah,
now let's go worry about the football portion of it.
Yeah.
I think Miami is a shoo-in to win a national championship. If you don't have them number one, I mean, you might have Oregon, which I can make an argument for too, but I think Darian Mensah solidifies himself as the most talented quarterback in college football. I watched that tape at Duke, and I was just like,
that's what I say.
There's a lot of plays that he would have made with better players on his team. Like, he was just incredible.
His footwork is impeccable.
I guess like all the hype that CJ Bailey gets at NC State when people are like, oh, he's the most No, it's Darian Mensah, man. How are people missing this? Like, CJ Bailey reminds me of Kevin Jennings down at SMU. It's almost the same quarterback to me when I watched him on tape. But Darian Mensah is just like I think they said that he was training with it was some baseball player to like get the velocity of the ball even better this year, like a professional like pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, man. I think he's going to be great, and he has such a great attitude about everything. He's a quiet guy. It's kind of refreshing to have a quarterback like him that doesn't have the spotlight, and just people just don't realize how good he is. He's going to be a superstar by the season's end.
Gotcha. Nah, most I would say I'm down in the South Florida area now, and a lot of folks down here say, "Oh, you never show Miami, University of Miami love." I was like, "That's not true." You know, when you do better,
I don't want to. What is that?
So I was trying to be politically correct.
I'll say it. I don't want to.
There you go. But I do know that he has really good footwork. You know,
he does.
So yeah,
Darian Mensah was the second he said that he was entering the portal. It would be like. You know how in like NFL they'll do the top like 101 NFL free agents? If it was like that for transfer portal, he was the number one guy.
I literally was screaming for Florida State to get him. Screaming.
Everybody was screaming, bro. It didn't care who you didn't matter who you had.
So question, man. The ACC. Is it just ass backwards now, or what are we doing here? Because what you got for Clemson? I think they'll be serviceable, period.
I think Clemson has just been a very slow burn. It's just how much longer can Dabo really hold on?
Well, but not with that attitude, not much longer.
True.
You know, listen, if you're going to, I don't want any transfers. We're going to build them here from the start. Come on, man.
I think it's a lot of like, you know, you're used to seeing Clemson, Florida State. Obviously, you know, Miami's been sprinkled in there, and you still have Miami now, even though they've never won the ACC championship. But I think you've got a lot of newer guys, you know, SMU, Virginia Tech coming in, Duke, you know, back when Riley Leonard was kind of there. Like, granted, they were in, you know, talks about it. But I think you're seeing a lot of the new, quote unquote, newer teams as like in talks for the ACC championship instead of the old reliables of Clemson and like Florida State and again Miami.
I think it's newer money. I think other schools are spending. It was a time when it was only Clemson and Florida State spending.
Yeah. Well, because they had before NIL, they already had the NIL, the name, image, and likeness without the actual money of NIL.
Right. Yeah, they had it then. Right. So
it was the brand. It was the, you know, let's look at everybody that we produce for the NFL and how, you know.
And when everybody else started to be able to pay money to get dudes in there too, things started to switch up and change. The whole thing happened with the SEC. So like, you know, the Big Ten never spent money. Only Ohio State and maybe Michigan. When everybody else started to open up their pocketbooks, then things started to get funky. You know, and SEC is like, you know, hey, we can't get the spending because they're losing SEC players to the Big Ten.
Yeah. Well, granted, everybody's losing players, but SEC is definitely losing some players. I think it's also just, you know, you talk about new money. I think it's new blood that is able to adjust to NIL and all that. And, you know, when you're used to having money, you kind of spend it a little recklessly. You know, Exhibit A, not being able to have enough money to get Mike Norvell the hell out of there versus teams that are like able to learn, they're brand new at this, and they were able to kind of, you know, build that foundation.
Well, I will give you my surprise team, and I don't know if it'll be this year or the next. And I told Kevin, and it's not, Michigan State. They just had a donor give them $2 billion last year.
Oh yeah, you did talk about that. Yeah, you did talk about that a couple weeks ago
for the sports programs, and he broke down how he wanted it, you know, doled out. So you know who's getting the lion's share of the money. $2 billion is going to buy some players. You'll have to have a slap idiot in there to not be any better with, $2 billion. You have to have a slap idiot out there. So that I'm going to put my money on that from a financial perspective. Michigan State.
Okay.
Michigan State. Yeah, that's it.
Gotcha.
How well did they do last year, fellas? How many games they win last year?
Michigan State?
Yeah.
I don't have it offhand right here.
I think they won 4 games last year.
We're gonna double that.
$2
billion to get you to double down.
It was 3. I knew it was something like that.
Okay, then it's 6.
Well, no, I'm saying I thought it was 3. I don't know how many it was.
Yeah, whatever it is. $2 billion is gonna change some things. That's where I see it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, 4 games. They were 4-8 last year.
Damn.
Damn, that's crazy, man. Dante, who's a surprising breakout player this year, you think?
I've been kind of saying this guy's name for a minute. Nick Marsh, wide receiver that actually transferred from Michigan State to Indiana. I know Charlie Becker's getting a lot of love because how him and Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper and Fernando Mendoza did last year, but I think not only Nick Marsh will be the surprise of breakout player, but I think he'll be a Biletnikoff winning wide receiver as well. I think the combination of what Mike Shanahan and Kurt Signetti are going to be able to do for that offense is going to be more serviceable for Josh Hoover's skill set, him coming over from TCU. Now, Fernando Mendoza was kind of conservative and checked it down, threw a backside throw, got you down the field, and that running game did the rest. I mean, he had damn near 2 1,000-yard running backs last year, and nobody ever wanted to talk about that, just like J.J. McCarthy did it at Michigan, right? The parallels are kind of similar now that I think about it, but I do think Fernando is a better player. But Josh Hoover, I've been screaming to the heavens how I think he's a great player. He's enough of a risk taker as far as like being a quarterback where you're not screaming at your TV that he didn't make the throw. It's that he always attempted to make an NFL type throw, and maybe sometimes it got him in trouble. And I think Kurt Signetti and Mike Shanahan are going to be able to calm that down for him, but he's never had a weapon like Nick Marsh at TCU ever as well. I mean, I love Eric McAllister all day. That dude's a knucklehead off the field, but
yeah, true that.
Nick Marsh is such a talented receiver that I think people are going to be like, well, Charlie Becker totally took a back seat. And the thing about him is he didn't run in a situation that got him in hot water. I don't know if you guys heard about him wearing gold shoes at practice, and Kurt Signetti
I was going to mention that. Yeah, where Signetti was like,
he was like, that's not how we do this here. Take this shit off and come back like you are part of this team. And he didn't run. He stuck it out. Because, a lot of these star players, what the first thing they'll do is say, woe is me. Why'd you bring me here if you're not going to let me do what I want to do? So Nick Marsh totally went down and, dealt with the program. And I've been reading a lot of reports of, like, how great a connection him and Josh have right now, too. I'm high on Indiana again this year. I think Josh Hoover's going to break a lot of the records at Indiana this year as quarterback. And I think, like I said, Nick Marsh is going to be a breakout player and a Biletnikoff winning wide receiver. When we talk about Jeremiah Smith, when we talk about Cam Coleman being down there with Texas, that's all good and dandy. But the guys that we don't talk about that we should are like Nick Marsh and Mario Craver down at Texas A&M. Those guys are talented too. Deuce Robinson down at Florida State, like he's going to be carrying that offense. We're not talking about those guys enough. And the thing about Nick is he was trying to carry Michigan State so much that he was always getting hurt. So, I mean, he was obviously the number one target every time that he was out on the field. So it was kind of throw it up and see what you got, Nick. But his playmaking ability is insane. And I think that's a name that you're going to be hearing quite a bit amongst the ranks of Jeremiah Smith and Cam Coleman this year. Is like his name's just going to keep popping up.
Gotcha. Sora, what you got before we move on to the NFL?
My guy is who I thought, I really thought Dante was going to say because he's been very high on him. But I got Keelan Russell at Alabama, finally confirmed as the starter finally confirmed as starter for Alabama, and he's done his time. He's been waiting. This is going to be his first season, but he's been learning under Kalen DeBoer. He's been waiting. Dude's already got the physical talent traits. He's got all of that. It's just more so of, it's not athleticism isn't the question. It's just, is he going to be able to keep consistent quarterback play? And, he doesn't need to become a perfect, pocket passer because they can build around his arm strength, his mobility. He's got great off script ability, able to kind of keep the play alive. It's, again, it's just kind of is he going to be able to be consistent? One thing that I love about Keelan Russell from what we've been able to see is just it's not a first read. He's going to take his time. He's able to kind of change how the backfield is, manipulate defenders. He's able to make the intermediate throws, and he's able to protect the football. And obviously, that's going to be the biggest thing, especially if you are a dual threat quarterback. If you are a very mobile quarterback, you got to be able to protect the ball, man. Because again, you can make these amazing like 1 yard, big stretch over for the first down, like diving, spin, move, catch, all that. But you got to be able to hold on to the ball, much like how we alluded to the JJ McCarthy. You can make a splash play, but if you fumble immediately after the splash play, it was all for naught. Who cares at that point? They're not going to talk about how you busted through the A gap for 50 yards. They're going to talk about how you fumbled it at the end.
Every time.
But, yeah, and the thing as well, if it's anything like how last year was, it's highly also possible Keelan Russell could be their main running back at that point. Not calling him a running back because he's a mobile quarterback, but because they had no run game last year. And that's something that all Alabama fans and just everybody in general is just curious about, of how is that run game going to look? So the entire offense is going to have to go through Keelan Russell, both running and passing and all that. Gotcha. And, he could. I don't know if he will, but depending on how he plays, especially if he's carrying the run game, could end up as a Heisman finalist.
Well, sorry, you must have been reading my mind and my notes. Is that your Heisman? Before we transition to the NFL, is that your Heisman hopeful?
No, that's not my Heisman. I mean, I think he can. I think he could be in absolute conversation of it. I think probably top 10 when they do like the top 10 list of all that. But I think he has a good, strong chance of being one of the 4 finalists at New York, or in New York, I should say.
Downtown Athletic Club, down there on Water Street. Dante, who's your Heisman hopeful?
Darren Mensa. It's pretty easy for me. I don't really see anybody. So the thing that people always get confused, especially new people, when it comes to college football, they think it's the person that puts up the best stats, and usually that's where a lot of people get mistaken. Unless you're Jaden Daniels that 1 year, it's usually never the case. It's you have to if that was the case, then Drew Mestamaker probably should have won the Heisman last year for quarterback instead of Fernando.
Absolutely.
He threw for 4,000 yards. He was the only quarterback to do so, and he carried the hell out of North Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not a stat-driven award. This is a stat-driven award with the how has your team performed as well. Because a lot of what we've seen in college football is what has your quarterback done for us lately, week to week to week, and they're going to get the prizes. Oh yeah, the quarterback was the one that got them this win this week, which is, I mean, most likely the case in a semi-pro sport like college football is. But Darren Mensa, with the weapons that he has there, I think Mark Fletcher is going to be a big part of why they're successful this year in that running game. I love Mark Fletcher. Their offensive line is still good. Their defensive line is still good, even without Reuben Bain and Akeem Mesidor being there. Their defensive back unit is going to be one of the youngest in college, but they're super talented there. And then Mario Cristobal just got paid his money, so he's just kind of sitting relaxed right now and just waiting for the next thing to happen, which is a ACC championship for the first time for Miami.
Impossible.
Ever. A national championship and a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in Darren Mensa, who's going to break pretty much every single Miami record possible at quarterback this year. I truly believe that. I am super high on Darian Mensah. I even had Don buying helmets of Duke helmets signed of Darian Mensah months ago. He's like, "Is this a good purchase?" I said, "You damn well bet yourself it is a good purchase. Go ahead and get that helmet."
Absolutely.
I think he'll be a great Heisman winner too. I think he'll be a great ambassador for the sport, and I think he'll be a little bit. I don't know if he'll be accepted by Miami fans like everybody else, because I don't think he has the flashiness of a Cam Ward or just an 18-4 record against top 25 teams like Carson Beck has. He just hasn't put up that type of resume. Neither has he played those type of teams. But I think he's just going to bring that quiet assassin week to week to week. And I've watched interviews and his teammates just rave about how he is. Like, he's commanding without having to yell at us. He's commanding by his play. You can tell that he's wise beyond his years. And, I mean, we're all used to the early 90s, like Miami squads that talk a lot and everything. Mm-hmm. I think this is the year where Darian Mensah's play is going to be so fantastic that you're going to see a lot of those old guys come out the woodworks and want them to be rowdy like that, but they're going to get used to kind of just like the cerebral. Again, that's the best word. This will be one of the most cerebral Miami Hurricane teams that are not rowdy, that just did it the right way. And I think Mario Cristobal needs that too. I think we're gonna have
Darian Mensah out here doing Jalen Hurts like speeches, and then Michael Irvin on the sideline going to be down on the all fours again, barking like a dog. Shit was nasty work, bro. I never want to see that on live television again.
Oh, it's going to happen again.
I know it is, and I'm sick.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that needs to happen for this team. It'll be good for Miami to get this team to get their own identity without dishonoring the other teams that came before them, right? And I think the older guys need to understand that too. It's just different. This is the Mario Cristobal era. Like, he showed you that he can get to a national championship, and he did it his way. And it's going to look a lot like, I mean, he came from that Alabama coaching tree. Like, he's just doing it a different way, and that's okay. And Miami's been a black eye in some situations. We know this. And Darian Mensah is the first one to kind of give them, like, when we talk about golden trophies, his face is going to be plastered a lot throughout Miami's history after this national championship win that I think he'll have. He'll be a very respected Heisman Trophy winner.
Let me just stay in the Miami pocket for 30 seconds. What made the Miami situation turn around under Cristobal? You know, he was under fire when he first got there. What do you think was the turning point?
I just think that Mario did it in a way that what people wanted to see overnight success because of the name of the Miami Hurricanes. And the way that Mario did it is he built this team from scratch, like not working the portal, because you don't see a lot of portal guys coming over either. He worked recruiting and got those guys like the Malinois on the offensive line of the world, and all those CJ Daniels and all those guys. Like, Jacoby Thomas comes to mind. Like, a lot of those guys were from the mud, and he built it like the Alabama. Like, the older guys are going to get the start before the younger guys. Like, it just is what it is. And I also think working the portal to get a quarterback like Cam Ward, you had your time with him. What was it? Tyler, what was his name before with Rhett Lashley when he was there? We thought that dude was going to be something sort, and then he went out and I forgot the kid's name, but he wasn't anything. And I think, yeah, it doesn't matter. He sucked. I just think, like, after season of having mediocre quarterbacks, he noticed that was like his weakest link. So then when he got the Cam Ward in there, you kind of seen their team turn around. They won a lot of close games that they probably shouldn't have won. So then what did he do the year after that? Let's go get a guy that has a great record against top 25 teams in Carson Beck, who is the redheaded stepchild at this point in time, did what he did at Georgia. Let's see if we can bring some of that Georgia pedigree over, because it was similar to Miami. So he came in, fit in the system, got them a little bit closer again. They got to a national championship. So what is he doing now? oh, the best of both worlds is right there with Darian Mensah. We know the kid is talented. Yeah, he might not have played the competition, but he showed that he can elevate a team. What do? Bring him over with his best wide receiver at Duke, and we build from there. So I think what Mario Cristobal is understanding is like me and Shane Dawson Shane and Dawson can't build quarterbacks from the ground up, but we can go on the portal and have them fit in the system and get us to where we need to go. So, I mean, I think it's just him understanding where he was deficient at and then building a team from the ground up like he's always been. And now he has a team that's just like building itself, and you're just seeing like now the depth that he's been building over the years come to fruition. And he was telling people for years, like, you gotta stay patient. You guys are gonna see the return on your investment here for sure. And they tasted the national championship last year, and he'll bring them their first ACC championship, Heisman winner, and national championship that they haven't seen in a long time. So
I would agree with you. Being that I'm down here and amongst the folks, and yeah, there was high expectations at first. You know, hey, he's coming back home, he's doing all this, and sometimes people are just very impatient, man. They don't, as you said, digging something out of the mud, making it work, and that's how stuff, you know, sometimes it stays, man. So shout out to Miami and shout out to Coach Cristobal for what they got going. And hey, you heard it right here. Dante say, hey, they might get the trifecta here, man. They might get the Heisman Trophy winner, the Natty, and what was the other thing you said?
ACC championship.
ACC champ, the first one ever for them.
I find that hard to believe that they won the ACC championship. Like, I find that hard to believe as I transition to the NFL that the Jets did not have an interception last year.
Yeah. Hey, they got one in the preseason though this year.
When I saw that this weekend,
I could hear Omari screaming from here.
I don't mean to bang on the Jets, but what I say, they did not have one interception last year,
which is wild with Aaron Glenn being the head
with
coach.
Aaron Glenn as the former cornerback for the Jets.
Like AG just didn't have the dudes he needed back there,
bro.
Go ahead, DA. What you said?
So he didn't have the dudes he needed back there to play DB safety for his system. So I think he got him this year, though.
Okay.
You know, not stars, but the right guys that'll be in the right places.
No, gotcha. Let me address this as a guy. So what's the quarterback that you think who's on the hot seat, so to speak? I'll start with Sora with this one.
And the coach?
No, the quarterback.
Oh, quarterback that's on the hot seat. Alrighty.
Well, you can do coach too, because you look like you had somebody in mind.
Yeah, I thought it was coach. I had coach written down. I was gonna say, dude, all the roster changes and his like top two receivers leaving, and this has been kind of lingering for a while. But Lincoln Riley, I think at USC, I think that's just again another slow burn. I don't know. With both his guys leaving, with Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane leaving, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult. They're impatient, man, at USC.
Oh yeah, he gone.
I mean, go ahead, Dante. I get it. I understand.
I don't see that at all. I don't even think his seat is lukewarm. I don't know. I think the way that he gets quarterbacks and makes them good, like let's be honest, when we watch the film, and even you said it yourself, like Jaden Maiava was just as important as those wide receivers were. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I don't think because of Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane being there made them, and you know, I forgot their tight end's name, Lake McCree. I don't think those three were like the reason why they made them respectable. I don't think it matters who is back there wide receiver for Jaden Maiava this year. I think Jaden Maiava is a top 3 quarterback in college football. If you ask me tomorrow and you said tomorrow that Jaden Maiava was going to win the Heisman, I wouldn't bat an eye. If that was your pick for a Heisman, I'd be like, put some money on it. I can definitely see that. I think that there's 3 quarterbacks in the country that I would put in the category of being the most talented. Jaden Maiava, Dante Moore, and Darian Mensah. Like, those would be the gold standard of, like, if I had an NFL team, those are the dudes that are at the chart at the top. If one of those guys are available and the others are not, I'm picking one of those guys. I just think Jaden kind of carries that that offense for him. As far as like the defensive side of the ball, that's where they struggle. But
yeah, and that's where they've been struggling for years.
They were better last year. I don't know. I don't think Lincoln's seed is even lukewarm. It's a slow burn, but the way he turns out good quarterbacks is just
yeah, I don't agree. I think overall, where he's going to sit in the Big Ten is going to tell a lot. That's all.
I think they have a chance to win it this year.
Well, then he better get to it. Then.
That's why we have these, all right?
Yeah,
that's why we do these. Sometimes disagreements happen. It is what it is.
And Dante, you smarter than me. He better get to it. I hope he's listening. All right, because if that defense is a sieve, it's going to be a problem, man. You know, it's going to be a problem because they are very, what do you call that? Booster driven.
Mm-hmm.
Very booster driven out there.
Definitely a fact. Let me move on to the NFL. The NFL, we got a few minutes here for the NFL. So I was talking or just saying, now that we talked about the college football, who's on the hot seat, who would you think would be in the hot seat in the NFL? And I'll start off with Dante as and I'll say a quarterback who you think they got to get it done this year at the show and prove.
Patrick Mahomes.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And it's not necessarily for us to not look at at him as not a good quarterback. I think everybody knows that he's a good quarterback, but I do think that there needs to be a serious consideration on how we rank Patrick Mahomes after this year. These last 2 years have not been good. I mean, to be honest, they've
heavy. It's a fact. That's a fact. We're going to have to get you a little protection outside your house for this, but I agree with you 110%.
Yeah, they have not been good. And if you talk about the quarterbacks over the years that have been awesome, the first quarterback that comes to mind are guys like Dan Marino. For maybe our younger viewers, maybe you might not remember, just look up who his receivers were before they actually became, the names that we have grown to know them as, and Tom Brady. Drew Brees.
Just watch Ace Ventura. You'll know.
Drew Brees too. You could throw Drew Brees in there. A lot of these wide receivers were no names, and they were able to elevate them year after year after year and make them something. And then you see these receivers go off to other teams and just become a shell of themselves. To me, that's a sign of having a really good quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, the one thing that they've drafted over the years is wide receiver, and got rid of some and got others in. I'm not saying that he's a bad quarterback, but I think it's time for us to have the conversation on if Patrick Mahomes is really deserving to always be in our top 5 because of what he's accomplished. Instead of let's have a right now ranking. Is Patrick Mahomes a top 5 quarterback? Is he a top 10 quarterback for where he has been the last 2 years?
Here.
Yeah, he's not. He's not even been top 10. But a lot of people want to say that Bo Nix is not top 10 and that he gets carried by everybody else, which is not true.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Nope.
I mean, you don't have the success you're having if you're a bum.
He has a Super Bowl.
Bo Nix is going into year 3 and finally has a true wide receiver 1. Like Cortland Sutton's borderline. Like he's wide receiver 2.
Correct.
But if dude didn't get hurt last year, man, they're going.
They would have been in the Super Bowl.
They're potentially winning it even.
And they're beating Seattle.
That run defense would have been too strong. They would have had to have forced, and not that Sam Darnold can't do it, but they would have had to basically have had.
Kenneth Walker wouldn't have went off. He wouldn't have went off against the Broncos.
No, exactly. It would have all been up to Sam Darnold.
He would have had to prove it to me last year if he's going against that Denver defense. Point blank, period, end. So he had the Super Bowl that the ace bandages took from him.
But the only reason I compared him to is I have Patrick Mahomes outside of my top 10, but I have Bo Nix in my top 10. Make an argument over the last 2 years of why I shouldn't have switched them. You can't. Patrick Mahomes has sucked.
But the reality is something you said that's really important. And again, this is for folks that watch TV. if we are making these assessments based on what happened last year, boom, we're good. All right. It's just like that NFL top 100 players, which is never the NFL top 100 players. Because people start talking about, oh, well, Ray Lewis did all this in these career years. And I didn't ask you about that. Last year, I need the best line, whatever, last year. Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes was not that. Right? So, point blank, period.
I
I'm
think
with you with that with Dante. I'm riding with you, bro.
I think people like how you guys said, man. You know, they want to counteract and talk about the things that happened in the past, as you just said, as both you guys just said, man. And right now, what have you done for me lately? Right now, and that leads you to believe, you know, Patrick, you know, Mahomes. You know, a lot of people say, oh, he's won X amount of Super Bowls and stuff like that, but right now, and that's just a fair assessment. That's a fair question.
I think even when you look at the most recent Super Bowl, you look at that journey, a lot of the defense, I mean, they had a top 5 defense, and then, you know, when Philly was exposing their defense in that Super Bowl, and then their offense was getting exposed by our defense in that Super Bowl, and it was basically in Mahomes' hands. Not much was happening, man. Pick 6, another interception at near halftime. Didn't score until like 5 minutes left in the third. It was rough. It was bad.
I think one of your guys, Torque, shout out to Torque, man. He brought up Justin Herbert needs to be brought up. He continues to be given more and more. There's less with than other QBs. Now, one of my co-hosts, my brother D-Dubs, he's not on tonight. I think he's watching while he's doing what he has to do, man. Torque, D-Dubs is with you, man. So holla at us during the season, man, because he absolutely calls up Justin Herbert.
I am not with you.
I don't agree with that whatsoever. And the reason why I say that is because if you looked at last year, which was one of his best years ever, he was out pretty much without 3 offensive linemen, his starting running back.
Tackles, yeah.
It's like, come on, man. I don't know what Justin Herbert had to do last year to carry that offense.
So, and like you say, just last year, because before that, I was not with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, you're right.
Last year was impressive, man. It was super impressive.
And even this year, granted, Dante, you and I love Jake Slaughter, but even like this year, they're already down their starting center for the entirety of the year. Now rookie Jake Slaughter is going to have to step up.
There's a lot of moving variables for the Chargers, especially last year. If we talk about what have you done for me lately, how does Justin Herbert have one of his best seasons last year without all of that production? And people are like, oh, no, he needs to prove it to me. Okay, you stick him. To me, it's like if you stick him on any other team that is just a quarterback away, right? Let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, for example. I love Drew Aller, but this year's not his year. If you switch him and Aaron Rodgers right now, he's taking that team to an AFC championship. Or put him on the Vikings. There's a perfect example. Put him on the Vikings and see if he doesn't do damage down there. I think people just expect more out of Justin Herbert for where he gets talked about in high regard, but they don't realize is like if you pull out the advanced analytics on Justin Herbert year after year after year, if you put his career in a vacuum and say this is how long he's been playing, and the turnover-worthy plays, a lot of people think, oh, he threw this interception or he fumbled this. But the turnover-worthy play rate that he has is the lowest in the NFL out of every quarterback. So the interception or the fumble that he does give up is usually not his fault when it comes to the advanced analytics. So I don't know. I don't know what people think about Justin Herbert, man.
Back in the days, I just think it was when he had those gaffes. When he had those gaffes, were usually game-ending gaffes. But on the other side, I think the other problem that Justin Herbert has is the comparison with dudes that came out of school at the same time he did.
Yeah,
that's where they're gonna, you know. I'm Dante in the beginning. I'm telling you, they kept telling him he had a howitzer for an arm. He kept trying to do it. He kept trying to, you know, that needle do that, and man.
there's a lot of people out there that are giving excuses for JJ McCarthy and Shador Sanders and all these guys talking about they don't get first team reps, so how are they supposed to be ready? Y'all remember when Justin Herbert had to come in because Tyrod Taylor got his lung punctured? He ain't taking any first team reps, and he's been a top 5 quarterback ever since statistically, year after year.
Conspiracy.
I can't look at that situation every single year and come down to the fact if people counting playoff wins and things like that. What about when they played the Jaguars, right? Just Trevor Lawrence damn near threw 5 interceptions in that game, and the Chargers kept running the ball.
And
the last possession, what was it? Trevor Lawrence dumped it off to Travis Etienne. He goes down the field for like 30 yards, and then Riley Patterson kicks a field goal. I'll never forget because I was a Jaguars fan. I was like, we never should have won this game. The Chargers screwed themselves. That's not a Justin Herbert issue. That was a coaching issue and a play calling issue. I don't know. The quarterback rankings never come down to who made the playoffs to me. It doesn't. I will always defend Justin Herbert, just like a lot of people defend Josh Allen. A lot of the times that Josh Allen lost against the Chiefs was in overtime. Are we saying that he's a bad quarterback? No.
He's never won an overtime game.
Like, that's crazy, man.
Good quarterback.
Yeah, we had a couple people in the comments was saying they asked about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson.
I saw one that was somebody said Joe Burrow, and I was going to ask y'all this question real quick, kind of a segue, but Joe Burrow's comments of like where he's talking about like, I'm tired of it being next year. I forget exactly entirely what fully he said, but he was like, I'm tired about it talking to next year. Like, we need to win this year. Did y'all get the feeling that the translation was either we win this year or I'm wanting out by the end of the year?
Yes.
Well, he knows he's not going to win this year, so he's trying.
Yeah, that was the feeling I got. If nothing changes, I'm forcing myself out of here.
But if we're going to be grown-ups, and we do this on this show a lot, man, don't. And listen, this comes with the caveat that we understand this is a salary cap league for real, and they run a very tight ship with their cap in this sport. How is that? Okay. Yeah, I know what the hell that noise was.
I don't know what's going on either.
But
headphone warning.
Yeah, with that being said, you took all the money, man. Your defense is not good because you took all the money and you made sure both the wide receivers got paid. I'm not asking you to give back your money, man, and I'm never going to tell you to give back your money, bro. Never. But you got to figure out a way to get your staff to build a team that's at least halfway decent. Man.
I mean, and that was the one thing that Tom Brady was praised about the most was of his contracts. Of he got enough to where it was still a big enough bank for him, but it was also he left enough to where the team was able to build around him, and it's kind of the. Howie Roseman does the same. That's what they did with Jalen Hurts when he was like the highest paid quarterback.
Guy is awesome with that. Yes.
Yeah, they Howie Roseman like just pushes the money back. Like again, when Jalen Hurts signed his contract, he was like the highest paid quarterback afterwards. But it didn't really take effect until later in that contract year, and they were still able to build around it. I mean, you've seen it. We've signed. I didn't think we were going to sign both Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. I for sure thought we were losing Jordan Davis. That's happened. Next year now it'll be Quinion and Coop. Howie will be able to probably be able to figure out how to do all of that. And then again, so it's kind of the either you leave enough room for the team to build around you and not asking major contracts, or you don't mind the fact that later on in your contract is where majority of the money will be. It will be light for now. You're not going to get it instantly. It'll be later on in that contract, and you got to be okay with that.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't have a problem with Joe Burrow. I think he's a great quarterback. No, I'm sorry. I ain't going to use the word great. I think he's a good quarterback. He is showing flashes of greatness. He has an arm, very aware. You know, he's good at throwing his guys open, but he also has two really good route runners. And I always say in football, the wide receivers know where they're going on every play. The DBs don't. So, yeah, it's not the hardest thing in the world to kind of throw these guys open. But that being said, man, you took your running back money. You don't have any of that, and you really don't have no D-line money. Now, you got some guys this year. I think Lawrence from Dallas, he made some trades, and they did some things in the offseason that may help you. But we'll see, man. But believe me, if he goes on the free market, boy, quarterbacks that thought they were beloved, Brock Purdy, will be let go for a Joe Burrow.
So you remember he's a Niner fan. You remember DA's a Niner fan. So
yeah. Oh, Brock is my dude.
Yeah, we know Brock is your dude. Yeah, we know. As you said that with such sarcasm.
Brock is my dude, man.
Nah, but getting back to Burrow, I heard those comments, and yeah, he absolutely, to me, he was setting that up. Like, we don't get it done this year, I'm out. So we'll definitely see about that, man. Let me go. What did I say there? Let's go back to the coaches. Who you think the coaches that need to get it done? Sora.
Oh, the coaches or the quarterback? Coaches. I think kind of one of the bigger ones right now that I can kind of think of is, I'll give you two, both of them from the same division: Kevin O'Connell and Dan Quinn, or not Dan Quinn, sorry, Dan Campbell. I ever since the Lions missed that Super Bowl window where they lost to, your 49ers, it's just kind of been going down from there. Now, granted, obviously you had the 1 year where Aiden Hutchinson was pretty much out for the entirety of the year after week 1. But Jared Goff obviously is not getting any younger. You've got Jahmyr Gibbs, which is great. You've got a great running attack. You still got a great offense. But on paper, there should be no reason why you aren't able to, win this division, especially where it's, Green Bay. Micah Parsons is going to be gone until October. The Vikings are an entire mess. Caleb Williams, they're still trying to see, if he truly is the guy. And, it's still a very young team. On paper, you should be the most experienced, and you should be the most experienced team, the most healthy team. Granted, they have the whole Terry and Arnold thing. But, you should be the fan favorite, everybody's favorite to win that division, and they just haven't been. They lost to a Max Besmer-led Lions team on Christmas Eve. Christmas was ruined in Detroit, or either Christmas Eve or Christmas night. But either way, Christmas was ruined. It didn't matter what day it was. All the presents didn't matter. They were immediately thrown in the fire. And then another one is, again, Kevin O'Connell. Yes, you've got the whole Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy thing. But I even said this on last week's show. I'm done with hearing people saying that this is a quarterback whisperer, or that he's a quarterback whisperer. Very few people in the league, in both college and NFL, really kind of deserve that title. Lincoln Riley being one of them, because we've seen, his resume. But before Sam Darnold went to the Vikings, and people want to give him credit for Sam Darnold, those last 4 games in Carolina were, that was the best version of Sam Darnold we saw at that moment. He built on it then with the Vikings, and obviously he built on that with the Seattle Seahawks and just won the Super Bowl. I obviously with the whole
I agree.
KOC thing, he's been on the hot seat for a while, especially after letting Sam Darnold go and Daniel Jones, who before he got injured, the Colts were a Super Bowl favorite in the AFC. You could have potentially had, if everybody stayed healthy on the Colts, you could have had Seattle and an Indianapolis Super Bowl, and all the Viking fans. Minnesota's getting burnt down to the ground if that were to happen. There's an alternate universe where Minnesota is just gone, erased from the map if that happens.
Yeah, they've been relegated.
And I was even saying, which obviously he had the whole lawsuit with the NFL in the past, and he's kind of had this ongoing battle. But if KOC is gone, I'd promote Brian Flores to be head coach with how great that defense has been.
Yes.
And then just get a competent offensive coordinator. The Vikings can be right back, especially if you get a quarterback, like an actual good quarterback, like a Dante Moore early on in the draft. Sign a veteran to a cheap 1-year deal, have Dante Moore learn underneath him. Bam, you're back.
Agreed. Yeah, but I think you're right. I think Detroit and Minnesota are two teams in the same division that are on the hot seat. I don't think anybody in NFC East is in the hot seat.
No, quarterback-wise, though, I would say, just because it's the biggest fears that I had when he was coming out of college of Jaden Daniels, of already having long list of injuries. And especially, and I want to keep this segment, I don't want to go past 5 minutes out of respect to Jalen Daniels. We'll only keep this 4 minutes. But, like, dude's had injuries, and granted, not that the number 5 thing really affects it. That was just a cornball thing, but it's like the dude's had injury histories. Yes, he had a great rookie season, but also, it was 3 injuries last year, something along the lines of that, all bad.
Yeah.
It's exactly with like what Tua was having with him when he had 3 concussions in one season.
Oh, that's something that's going on down there in Atlanta as well. Did they pick their quarterback yet?
Not yet.
No.
Yeah, right. They still okay. Gotcha. But what I've seen out of Tua, but
I don't know. But once again, Michael Penix has had another meme of him just pointing at Tua like, this guy. This is the guy. All right. He was doomed from the start after they blocked out the line in P when they said the pick is in, and they took that picture. Yeah, he was doomed from the start.
Gotcha. Dante, you with us? You good now? You're very low. It's like you in jail.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it too loud?
No, that's perfect where you at. Go ahead.
Now we're good now, yeah.
Yeah,
right.
You're perfect where you at. Go ahead.
All right, what was the question? Sorry, I was trying to switch mics here.
Oh no, you're good now. The question was who's on the hot seat, whether it be a coach or a quarterback this year. Who's got to get it done?
Coach or quarterback, who's got to get it done? That is a good question. I think Jaden Daniels has got to get it done. I know we talked about that a little bit. I just think you're kind of product of your environment and how successful your own class of players have been, right? I feel the same way about Michael Penix, regardless of injuries. I think injuries are a part of your journey, right? This is the excuse that people gave for J.J. McCarthy. I hate to keep bringing his name up, but I think, injuries are a part of your journey. And some people come back from injuries like Tom Brady and Drew Brees, and it's just never been a problem for them. Like some of the best quarterbacks that we've seen have major injuries and are just, they come back better than they were before, right? So you can't really, you can't hinder greatness. You're either great or you're not. So I think that, in regards to that, Jaden Daniels is definitely the one that needs to step up to the plate for sure. Do I necessarily think Dan Quinn is on the hot seat? No. One of the things that I can consider for Dan Quinn that I can't consider for Jaden Daniels is Dan Quinn was writing on a decision under new leadership on drafting the quarterback of the future. And a lot of the things that the offense is trying to do, they haven't necessarily drafted another quarterback outside of Athan Kelly-McManus, right? That just came from Rutgers this year in Minnesota previous. I don't think he's the quarterback of the future, right? So I don't think they were ready to replace Jaden Daniels. I think when the replacement talks come, I don't think you just go to an NFC Championship game and then automatically just become a shit coach when your quarterback gets hurt. Like, I don't know. I'm all about giving people time. I know we talked about Aaron Glenn before. I don't necessarily think he's on the hot seat because they brought him back for another year. Why wouldn't you let that guy learn from his mistakes as a first-year head coach? I don't understand this. Like, we have to throw the baby out with the bathwater and just expect overnight success. Maybe I'm just a little bit like old school in that thought process, but I think you know, a lot of people don't realize, like, Bill Parcells and a lot of these coaches were not good when they first started out. Like, let's be honest here. It took them a couple times before, and they got their feet underneath them, and they actually had a system in place that actually worked for them. You know, I think we need to start looking at guys like, you know, that have been stagnated over the years, and like the Kyle Shanahans of the world. I know the 49ers fans are going to hate me, but I really think Kyle Shanahan needs to be looked at. Sometimes a change of scenery is good. Like, yeah, you've gotten us to the promised land. We've gotten really far in the playoffs. I always say until things change. How long have I been saying this, or the NFC West is the best division in football until proven otherwise? How many years? Like, count how many years these guys have been in NFC championship games and Super Bowls within the last 12 years. Actually, let's go back to 2012, because that's when the Seahawks won it the last time. Even before that, maybe 2010. They've been dominant for so long. Yeah, I mean, I think this year is kind of unique because the landscape has changed in a lot of different ways. I think you can look at C.J. Stroud and say maybe he's the one that needs to step up to the plate, right? And get that team where they need to go, because you can't just rely on the defense without the quarterback stepping up. But this is an offseason where we haven't heard that C.J. Stroud has been running the streets and things like this, you know what I'm saying? So maybe he is a little bit more serious, and they just got Kayshon Boutte to come over and be another wide receiver while Jaden Higgins. So they're investing in his future. So, you know, maybe Zach Taylor up there with the Bengals. There could be an argument that gets made for his situation as well. I don't know. I just think this year is kind of unique because the landscape of a bunch of teams have changed. And I don't necessarily think that, like, there's somebody that's, like, completely on the hot seat, or, like, there's a quarterback that just needs to completely step up. I mean, Kyler Murray's got a lot of pressure on him in his first year. I don't know. I'm just kind of like thinking through this. It's hard for me to put a finger on a situation.
Gotcha. No, I appreciate that. You had an Anthony Richardson question. That's from one of our co-hosts, the angry one. He had one. I think I think you answered that on X the other day. Real quick. Give your answer. I think angry one. He said, "Hey, Anthony Richardson, will he get another look at QB anytime?" Did Dante hear that?
I think he might still be fixing his mic.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. I thought I heard something.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, go ahead, D. Go ahead, D.
No.
Oh, no. I thought he said yo. I was like, huh?
Oh.
Yeah, the answer is no. That's all.
Okay, you said no. Okay, gotcha.
I think, and I explained this a little bit on our show, I think he needs to do what Sam Darnold did. You know, he went over to, you know, he again, I talk about the last 4 games in Carolina, but it was like, you know, he kind of went over to a guy who knew quarterbacks. And even if he were to, you know, he being Anthony Richardson, if he were to go to like a Kyle Shanahan or something just for a year, because, you know, Kyle Shanahan has done very well with quarterbacks. I mean, look at Brock Purdy, literally turned Mr. Relevant into a franchise quarterback. Right. I think if he were to go under there for a year, because the dude is still very, you know, he's still very young. I think he's what, like 24, 23, like still on his rookie contract.
A lot of stuff they included.
Yes.
So I think, you know, I think he can afford to spend a year under like Kyle Shanahan, right? Or just any quarterback, any, you know, cute coach that is able to, you know, teach quarterback very well. And then he'll be 25, which in all honesty is the same year that these rookie quarterbacks are. You know, Bo Nix, when he came out, he was 25. Look at how he is now, you know, year 2, if it weren't for his, you know, his ankle snapping at the end of the Buffalo Bill games. Again, we already talked about it. They'd be Super Bowl champions at year 2. So for me, age isn't really that much of an importance now for rookies. If anything, it helps because by the time their rookie contract is up, they'll be 30, 31 at that point. But, you know, again, Anthony Richardson entering this year, you know, he's spent the year learning under a coach. He'll be 25. and then can go around and kind of explore, other teams to try to get a shot at fighting, not being guaranteed, but fighting for a QB1 spot, in the year, we'll say 2028, after he's taken that year to learn under something. Because it was the same thing as well. One example that I used was Mitchell Trubisky when he went over to the Bills. Whenever we had to see him play for Josh Allen, that was the best version of Mitchell Trubisky we saw in years.
Go ahead, Dante.
And again, I think if Anthony Richardson were to back up Josh Allen, they kind of have somewhat of the same build. So if Josh Allen ever has to take a break, you're not, obviously the arm talent and everything's a little bit different, but you're still dealing with the same archetype. You're not having to overly change the playbook.
DA always says it on this show. He's like, quarterbacks that's starting out and just transitioning from the NFL, and I don't know how many starts Anthony Richardson had in college, man, but that stuff matters.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Hell of an athlete, though. Like you said, he just probably needs a change. Probably needs to learn under somebody else. Probably needs to see a little success. And that breeds success. So when you're playing, everybody knows if you play, when you have success, it breeds success. You start to feel more confident in things that you were doing, so forth and so on.
Absolutely.
Believe me, he got this far. So that means that he has skill. That means that he can play. He can do some things. He may just have to get with a coach that's, had a system that already works for him. Like I always thought, you got running quarterback, your best bet. And I know Harbaugh's gone now, but yeah, you want to go stand behind, my man in Baltimore. You want to go because you're not going to be pocket passer. You were never that. You can get bits and pieces of it, in a team where you may have to run. So even if you're going behind, Mr. Love and Green Bay, he runs a little bit, not a lot. CJ runs a little bit. He needs to be somewhere where that's part of the offense. Not to make it part,
I agree. He needs
or
to
even behind Josh. If you're gonna have a place where there's design runs, yeah, why not? Because that's what he does. And now he'll feel comfortable in practice, even on a scout team doing it. And then he can learn, what he has to learn to be a pocket passer. Because this is still the NFL. And there's still certain things that you have to do to be successful here.
Absolutely.
So
my one retort to that is, yes, I agree. Obviously, QB system design runs obviously have to be in it, but I don't think every team, I don't think maybe Jordan Love would potentially, kind of not gatekeep, would help teach him. But you mentioned CJ Stroud. I don't think CJ Stroud would really help. They're both young quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But I think kind of and again, we mentioned this on our show last week. But Josh Allen, I think is a perfect system. Again, same archetype. You saw what was going on with Mitchell Trubisky. If he were to back up Jalen Hurts, obviously, Jalen Hurts is obviously going to impart wisdom on the dude. That's probably one of the best teachers to have, just because of how Jalen Hurts is as a person. It is always going to be about winning the game and not, his own personal accolades. Lamar would be a bit interesting, but, I have said that the best would be backing up Josh Allen or going to be a backup for the 49ers and learn under Kyle Shanahan.
Gotcha. Dante, you have something before we move on real quick, and we'll finish this out here.
Yeah. So I guess Sora just gave all the points that I gave for the Josh Allen. So I know we talked about that, I think, last week. I think that's the only place for him to go. I think we have to get out of this mindset of thinking that like a quarterback that needs to have design runs. It doesn't work in the NFL. There's never been a quarterback that comes in where we just design runs. The only time that worked is when we had guys like what's his name that was down there with the Saints, the dude that came from BYU. Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
And guess what he was? A backup that transitioned into a tight end. It never works. If you can't throw the ball in the NFL, you're not going to be successful. So that's what I'm saying. It's either he learns to throw the ball
in a very successful way, or because that's his Achilles heel. His Achilles heel is that he has a big arm, but he's not very accurate, or that he's a big playmaker and can run for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he got killed or he got his team killed because he could never get the ball down the field once the second half came and the defense learned to stack the box and stop all that running shit. Like
Yeah.
it just never it never happens.
And
The thing about
also, big thing in college was never looked at the left side. It was always the right side or the middle.
well, the thing even that Lamar had to learn, and a lot of the seasons that he was successful, um, in passing the ball, this dude was throwing for 3,000 yards plus on top of stacking, seasons where he was running, for damn near 1,000 yards as well. That is a better recipe for success than what Anthony Richardson is trying to do. Like, I don't believe Anthony Richardson is going to be able to throw for 62% um, completion percentage time after time after time. That's kind of like the measuring stick for NFL quarterback. Like 62% and above is right where you want to be. I think Anthony Richardson is always going to fall within a atmosphere where he's in the 50s, and that's not going to win any games. So the only person that he's going to be able to learn from is the person that is his stature, has his kind of quintessential, you know, byproducts for a quarterback, which is the big arm that he has and the playmaking ability of a Josh Allen. He's not as durable as Josh. He doesn't have the accuracy as Josh. He's not as smart as Josh. Like I think that's the only quarterback he can go to. We can throw out the Lamar Jacksons and all these quarterbacks all we want to because they can run the ball. But Lamar Jackson is known to be a guy that has learned to throw the ball as well. That's why he won 2 MVPs and been to 4 Pro Bowls and all this other stuff. So like it's never with just his legs. That's what makes Lamar dynamic and adds a extra notch on what you have to defend game to game. But nobody that plays against Lamar is saying like, "Oh man, he just beat us with his legs today. That's why he was difficult to beat." No, it's the combination of being able to disguise the run with the pass as well that makes Lamar an MVP every single year that he plays. And also on top of that, Lamar doesn't get himself hurt. It's usually the offensive side of the ball as far as the offensive lineman. Every time that Lamar's gotten hurt, it's been on something fluky. So he's not a player that doesn't play smart. He plays as smart as Josh. Well, Josh Allen even plays reckless. He plays more reckless than Lamar does. I think that's a big misconception about Lamar. So I don't know. I just think Anthony Richardson
Lamar
is
is very smart when he runs with the ball. I'll give him that.
So too.
Anthony Richardson needs to learn how to take a Taysom Hill role in the NFL instead of trying to strive to be the next great quarterback because he's just not that.
Gotcha. Appreciate it, man. Hey, man, guys, I thank y'all guys so much, man. We're going to end it right here, man. We can talk football all night with these guys because, like I said, these guys are definitely the specialists, man. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate y'all. Parting shots. Parting shots. I'm going to give it to DAD. What you got for us before we go?
Hey, you guys better follow the gridiron if you want to learn about the game and not just what the talking heads say. And maybe you can impress your friends next year at the drafting of your fantasy teams. Yeah, I think they'll help you out a lot. At least you'll sound smarter if you listen to them. So, you kind of know what you're talking about rather than just being out there talking. So, yeah, it's always an education for me. And I appreciate you guys joining. And thank you very much, man. And we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sora, what you got for us before we get out of here? Thank you, bro.
Yeah, no problem. Once again, always a pleasure to be on the show. Always fun to talk football. Thoroughly enjoy my time here. Apologies for the light flickering. I guess that's another problem now that I got to deal with. So that's great. That's fantastic. But other than that, yeah, it's been a blast. I've enjoyed my time here.
Man, thank you, man. Thank you so much, Sora. Appreciate that. Dante, what you got for us, bro, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my equipment today, but
Dante and I are cursed today, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on? I'm currently on my phone now, so I've transitioned from a mic to a headset to my phone now. So I try to stay on this show as long as possible without any issues, but I'm committed. So yeah, man, appreciate you, always bringing us on to, talk through this. Do a lot of research, do a lot of due diligence throughout this thing. I think part of it, as far as our crowd, is being able to be knowledgeable about all sides of football at the end of the day. So, if I'm going to be wrong, that's fine. But one thing that people can't say, and that I always tell people, is that I didn't bring the most informed argument to our discussion. So yeah, I'll be wrong all day, but you probably learned something that you probably didn't know while we were sitting there arguing about this, that, and the third. So yeah, man. And then last thing, JJ McCarthy sucks, and I told you guys.
Hey,
that's one thing we weren't wrong about.
No, 3 years ago, y'all got some pushback on this very show when they talked about Bo Nix. And I remember when you guys said Bo Nix is going to be the real deal. I remember now.
Mm-hmm.
And
look at him now.
Look at him now. Look at him now. So listen,
people still don't give him his credit. They still think he gets carried.
I'm telling you, man. Watch
so
what he's about to
insane,
do
man.
with Jalen Waddle this season.
You already saw it in one preseason game, what he's about to do. And he just broke his ankle. Like,
he's already. I feel like he's ahead of schedule.
Go ahead, DA.
I said, yeah, that's going to be a great connection. So
no problem for the rest of the NFL, man. Listen, man, thank you guys for all that's watching. Thanks for those that was in the comments today, man. We appreciate that. Gridiron, Apex, man, we thank you so much. You know how we do when we come together. We really, really appreciate it. And like you said, like DA said, hey, man, for the knowledge, for the masterclass you guys be putting on when it comes to the world of football for both college and NFL, man. So like I said, all my folks, man, y'all make sure y'all give these folks a follow, Gridiron Apex, man. All their links will be in our description, man. So listen, I'm not going to belabor the point. On behalf of myself, I'm Kevin Warren, the host and moderator for the DA, the rest of the Sports Chasers, and for our special guest tonight, stay family, man. Dante and Sora, man. Yo, this is the Sports Chasers, excuse me, I can't even talk. Y'all be good, be great, be blessed, man. We'll catch you on the flip side. Take it easy. Peace.
You've been locked in with Sports Chasers, where conversation doesn't follow trends, it follows the game. If you rock with the discussion, tap in, subscribe, and join the community that keeps sports real. Until next time, stay locked, stay sharp, and keep chasing sports the right way.